Do you remember Plato's allegory in the dialogue at Phaedrus, the chariot allegory? The allegory in which we have this charioteer who drives this chariot, which is pulled by two horses with wings. And the point, these two horses don't go necessarily higher towards the life of the spirit, and so it's difficult to drive this chariot because of the horses need to be put down somehow by the charioteer that represents reason, logos in Greek. So the two horses represent other sides, parts of our souls, which don't necessarily follow the guide of reason. They are in Greek allogon, means without the logos, without the reason. Not in the sense that they are irrational, because irrational is a wrong term. When we say that human beings are rational animals, we don't mean that the other animals are irrational. We just mean that human beings possess reason as an intrinsic principle of their motion. They are owners of the reason. The other animals can act rationally without being owners of this rationality, like bees do, or any other animals. So these horses in Plato's image are without logos, but they're supposed to follow the instructions of the logos of reason. And they represent two sides of our souls, which are very interesting. One of them is being called concupiscible, is the side of our soul that desires pleasures. And the other is called irascible, is the part of our soul that reacts strongly if there are obstacles in our life, if there are pains or fears. So, and these distinctions has been taken also by Aristotle, that explains that there are two sides of our souls, of our soul. One is the one with logos, and the other one is the one allogon. Allogon without logos, and logos ekon in Greek, that possesses the logos, the reason. So clearly our intellect is on one side, and even our prudence as our, in a sense, calculative side of our intellect that calculates the right action to do, to perform, is the one that possesses intrinsically the logos as a principle. And the other side is part of it is something we share with even the plants. It's something we cannot do anything about, like our digestion process or our growing. These things are part of who we are, but there is no way in which we can control them through reason. We are not supposed to. But other parts, says Aristotle, he called this part the orektikon, is the part that includes all the inclinations of our souls towards our desires. And it includes both the two horses of Plato and also what we would call will, in Aristotle's language, boulesis. So in Aristotle it's clear that the part of our soul that moves us to action because of the desire, the attraction of the good, doesn't have logos in itself, but it should obey to the logos as a son does to his father, says Aristotle. And so Plato and Aristotle gives us an image of anthropological and ethical image of ourselves, which will become intrinsic part of Christianity and our entire Western civilization, in which we as human beings have a complexity inside. In part of who we are, we receive data, we know something, and we possess the logos, the reason, as intrinsically. But this part doesn't act. It's if you think about it, knowledge is a reception of data. I receive data through my senses, through my intellect, but then I act because I have an engine that pushes me to something else. And this is the inclination, the appetite. This is that part of our soul that inclines us to do something because we desire the good. this part has to be controlled by reason. And so in the entire moral experience, moral life, according to this image, is that all we have to do is to train the two horses, the horses in general, including the will, to desire according to the logos, to reason, and so that we are not led astray by these horses when we figure out that we need to do something, even though if we don't feel like it or or for any other reasons we fear it, we are supposed to still follow the reason and put the horses down whenever it's the case to do it.